just very briefly. And hopefully, for my sake and yours, it'll be the last video I make talking about Depp and Heard. But I think there's a few angles here that, you know, this case, because it's so visible, it's going to affect different people in different ways. And not all of it's going to be a learning lesson. It's actually going to put people off. They're going to learn the wrong things. There's going to be malicious people learning the wrong things and true victims learning the wrong things. You know, I mean, number one, don't lie. False accusations are so disgusting, and there's been a lot of false allegations made, I believe, in the Depp and Heard case. Amber Heard's lying is so vulgar, so repulsive. I think both people here have been toxic. But anyway, regardless of that, you know, is this case going to make people think, well, if they don't have proper photographic evidence of injuries, etc., that they won't be believed? And are they going to think if they don't have certain things caught on camera, you know, on video, that they won't be believed? And on the other side of that, are people going to start constructing all this evidence of, you know, photographic evidence that isn't real, or, you know, try and catch people on camera after goading them into verbal abuse or even physical abuse? You know, I don't think people realize that some people actually are so controlled and so abused, they don't have the resources to even go to a doctor. They're frightened to, or they just don't have the resources to go to a doctor and make reports, and they never would anyway. They wouldn't dare. And they don't, you know, maybe their phone, the only phone they've got access to, and the devices are, you know, they have no privacy there, so they can't take a photo and even send it somewhere and then delete it. They don't dare. They can't document anything, and they're not going out in their bruises. People don't know. People don't go to the doctor. They hide and heal, and then they begin a routine, and then they tell a lie about, you know, why they weren't around for 10 days. They don't dare go to a doctor in case, you know, because the charges are seen, and they don't want to lie again about, oh, just getting my birth control or whatever, because that's analysed by the abusive partner. They can't go and just say, oh, because, you know, the headaches I was having. Everything is scrutinised, and everything can give an abusive partner a reason to be violent or cruel. And, you know, what if, you know, a Medicare charge comes in on a statement and they don't want to have to explain the visit? You know, the abuser knows that it's around the time that they were covered in bruises or whatever, right? Bruises which are often hidden: thighs, buttocks, back, ribs. You know, people just hide it. They don't go out in public, and then they disguise it, and then they lie. And, you know, maybe they can try to get some cash together, buy a disposable camera, have enough, you know, and take some photos that way, develop the film and put them somewhere for safekeeping. Somewhere, I don't know, but that might be a way around. But also maybe try going to a not-for-profit clinic of some sort. Not your regular doctor, not one in your suburb or nearby suburbs, and see if they can see you somehow anonymously. You know, even to what used to be the shooting gallery, you know, well, the safe injection centre in King's Cross in Sydney, or in Brisbane, go up to Quinn to Better Access Medical, somewhere like that. Maybe they can help you and begin to help you get out, and also help with some sort of documentation that, you know, won't get you into trouble at home further. Because I don't think people realise, you know, So, you know, people might be put off by this case saying, well, you know, I can't do that. I can't just put a cat, I'd be killed, you know, and I can't hide one and do it. How do I, you know, how do I switch it on and off? And, you know, in the middle of being abused and in these violent episodes and these occurrences, you can't just have your phone. You do not have, you can't just record it like that. It doesn't happen like that. Conversely, as I said, you know, people, are they going to set people up thinking they can capture all this stuff? You know, and I think it's going to put people off thinking, well, I can't go up against the power and status and money of my partner in court. Look at, you know, not that they might think, you know, look, it could be people that believe Amber or not believe it. It doesn't matter. They can look at that situation and say, wow, yeah, I would just be destroyed. I'd be further humiliated. I would never be believed. This is just, it's a nightmare beyond, you know, just on top of what I'm suffering now. I can't do it. You know, so I think it's just been such a negative thing. You know, okay, so it's the law that, you know, if it's requested to be broadcast, it can be. I think Johnny knew what he was doing with that. But I wish it had been kept silent behind closed doors and not broadcast, because I think it's going to take hope away from people. It's going to really, it's angered so many people from so many angles. Yeah, you know, don't lie, don't bring false charges, don't try and set up any recording or anything, whether it's true or not. I mean, you've got to find a safe way to record real damage, and to construct false evidence is repugnant, you know. And I know Amber and Johnny didn't have children, but I was thinking just about that as well, you know, beyond, you know, don't make friends complicit, or, you know, don't make them go along with a false narrative. You know, this is just so disgusting. You know, also don't use your children as weapons or as emotional support or as excuses, etc., etc. You know, don't alienate them from the other parent. You know, courts are becoming savvy and realizing that often nowadays the person making the heinous accusations, putting, you know, against the other, is often actually the abuser. You know, it's a part of the abuse. It's to say that the other person is abusive and crazy and is alienating the children. So courts are getting savvy to this now. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but just that I can see how this is going to confuse people, confound people, spur people on in good and bad ways, and it's going to make some people lose hope. It might give people hope, but I think it's just batshit crazy what we've witnessed. Don't get me wrong, I watched a lot of it, clearly, although, you know, definitely I didn't watch the very start. I don't think I watched much of the very end, but I watched a huge chunk in the middle of this fiasco, and then all over the shop with my feelings about it. Overall, I just think it, you know, I mean, sure, there are great levelers in there, as well as things that just show how separate from most normal people in the world this, what we're viewed as, right? The lifestyle and the occurrences, you know. But a lot is relatable, you know. A lot is relatable to so many people for many reasons. Either they've been in abusive relationships, they've seen it happen to friends or family, they've been around alcohol and other drug misuse situations, sometimes for decades, sometimes through friends, groups of friends, family members themselves, you know, they've got first-hand experience, and it's certainly been triggering on many, many levels for me, for many other people, and worldwide, you know. And at the same time, should we really be yeah, I don't think it should have had this world stage. It's, you know, sure, it's setting, you know, because it's just too complicated. And I mean, it might be very simple to most people, but I think it's complicated because people say, oh, it sets the movement back. Yeah, it kind of does, but look, it's going to encourage men to come forward, but it's also going to, you know, it's also going to discourage a lot of people from coming forward, not just because, yeah, so I'm not being very eloquent, so I'll leave it there. Do you get a little bit of what I mean? Maybe not. Maybe I'm making no sense. Hopefully this is the last time you hear from me about this, okay? And when Scott, is it Scott? From True Crime Loser, when he was finishing up one of his videos he's made about it, he was talking about the various witnesses, and then he painted a scene where, you know, Johnny Depp's getting into his car, he's waving out the window, and he goes off into the distance to the pirate music. I can't sing the tune, but when he did that, you know, the screen goes blank. But it made me think, oh, I know what the inspiration for that music theme is for Jack Sparrow. It sounded like Smooth Criminal. What do you think? Anyway, speak to you later.